Good evening, everyone. I don't like microphones, I'm more of a headset guy. But the topic for my discussion is from numbers game to consultative selling. Now, to give you a bit of background where I'm coming from, I am one of the ADMs in Artem's team, and I've been on this journey for 4 years roughly by now. Now, you heard a lot about, hey, we used to take, or we are taking responsibility for retention, we're taking responsibility for the revenue and everything in between. So I don't really have a title. My name is ADM, that's on my contract, but there's a lot of bloody stuff that we actually need to do on our day-to-day basis. I'm a Wrike guru, expert, advisor, sort of, give it a name. But the biggest thing what I would highlight from the role is that we're problem solvers. And when most people are afraid of problems, I look at it actually slightly differently. The more problems I find, the more revenue, the more impact, the more change I can make for the clients that I'm working with. Now, why is this topic important in the first place? Numbers game to consultative selling. A lot has changed. Let's say over the last 20 years, we had .com boom. We had the golden years in tech sales. We had the last few years with COVID, everything else happening right now, recession, you name it. Selling has changed significantly. It's not what it used to be back in the days. And all of this being said, let me ask you a question. How many of you have heard the statement, sales is a numbers game? Raise your hands. All right, 80% of the people. Let me ask another question. Who agrees with this? 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm gonna challenge you because I do actually agree with the statement. The more dials you do, the more emails you send, the more Zoom meetings you have, kind of name it. The more activities you do mathematically, the more likelier it is for you to have an impact towards the work, what you do, to hit quota, hit retention, name it. But doing volume is not enough. There is also quite a bit of limitations when it comes to this volume approach. Let's say an SDR. An SDR can do 200 calls, book 1 meeting. There might be an SDR who does 40 calls, but books 7 meetings. So the volume is not per se the most important part of what we do. There are simple limitations. For example, this is a very expensive approach these days. Back in the days, companies had a lot of money. Hey, we got a problem. We don't have pipeline. Let's hire 20, 30 SDRs. Let's outbound the hell out of it. And we start generating pipeline. That doesn't work anymore. How many of us actually pick up our calls these days? Not so many. Similarly, if you are a rep of any kind, SDR, MDR, AM, CSM, any revenue focusing rep, it's very hard to stay motivated for a very long period of time. Yes, you might climb, but if all you're focusing on is volume, then sooner or later you will burn through and you will crash. Now, I'm not saying that I have burned through and that I have crashed per se, but I have done 10-hour days for 3 years plus. The maximum Zoom calls I did in a week was 39. So back in the days, I really focused on volume only. Don't get me wrong, volume matters, but volume or quantity without quality is nothing. Quality is the aspect that actually delivers and helps us to make an impact towards the clients that we're working with. And when it comes to quality of work, I like the concept of consultative selling. Now, many of you might have heard this terminology back in the days already. And consultative selling for me is not value selling. It is about value, but it's about providing practical value to the buyer. Now, why I love this approach, it's very simple. I'm able to talk with many clients, so I still like doing volume to some extent. I can earn their trust, their relationship. I can nurture their business. I'm able to do all of those great things. But why I like helping out my clients the most and having those conversations is to earn the right. Earning the right might mean a variety of different things for different people and different roles. For me, earning the right might be having another call with them next week. It might be earning the right to have a conversation with their C-suite. It might be earning the right to get a referral for another company, you name it. But I earned the right by doing the right thing. Now, I tried really hard to put this also into logical framework. There's 5 steps over here. I could probably break it down into 50 steps because it is way more complex. So I try to keep it as high level as possible. Now, part of the framework and the logic here is also the fact that I'm ADM, what means I have existing book, 300 clients. So I'm not per se in the pre-sales motion. But it all starts in the top with the consulting part. Let's imagine no matter what the product or service what you sell is, there's a framework. They got X amount of licenses, a subscription, something that they're working with. So whenever I meet with the client first, I start consulting and helping them. If I have a call for, let's say, an hour, I do my icebreakers, I do my chit chat, introductions. All I do really is there's a problem, there's a solution, there's a problem, solution, value, 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 value. By the end of 55 minutes of the hour, I earned the right to start doing discovery. And if I did a great job in 55 minutes, they will be very open to talking with me. Now, when this is the framework for existing business as is, discovery is the part for upsell, cross-sell for me. Where can I expand the business per se? If I do those 2 parts really well, I come again to the consulting phase. In the second consulting phase, though, this is more about the status quo of what could be dream case scenario. Here they got 10 licenses, here they could have 30 licenses. Here they are on a certain plan, here I upgrade them to another plan. In this phase, yes, I'm not gonna hide, we all will do certain level of pitching and value selling. But why I'm really good in this phase again is the actual delivery of value. It means I get my clients on trials. I let them overdraft licenses for a month. I do anything and everything as hands-on as possible. Similarly, if my clients are on a trial for a few weeks, I meet with them multiple times. Change the setup, configure it, onboard people, increase adoption, you name it. If I do all of this really, really well, we come to the selling phase. Now, selling for me as a phase is very simple. If I didn't do a good job before, I don't sell anything. If I did everything above really well, selling is a quick job. Yesterday, for example, I had a client that I've been working with. From the moment of them reaching out to me replying, sending out paperwork, getting back the paperwork, took 4 minutes. So selling for me is really like formality. Here's the price. This is what you get. Here's the paperwork. When can I get it back? By the end of those 4 phases, we come back to consulting because they upgraded, they bought something, you name it. And for me, this is the new status quo up here. And I start from scratch. New meetings, new trainings, new onboarding, new adoption, so forth. Sometimes this cycle, I do it only once. If there's a company of 200 people, if I sell them 200 licenses, I went wall to wall, and there isn't much what I can do anymore. Sometimes I do this in bits and pieces. First cycle, 10 licenses. Second cycle, 20 licenses. Then again, 10 licenses. and so forth. So it's an ongoing process, and I hope to never stop it if possible. Until I get to wall, is of course the point. Now, why do we actually need to think about this consultative selling so strongly? There's a lot of potential both for reps, as well as the company, as well as the clients. As a rep, we all like making money, let's be honest. And if you're able to hit your targets, and if you're able to overachieve, you're able to make quite nice commissions in tech industry. For the company, of course, one of the things is the new net revenue that starts coming in. But most importantly, it's actually the retention and adoption side of things. Yes, it's good to have short-term goals and make the quick money, but it's way better to build a sustainable business that you can keep on building and running for as many years as possible. Similarly, when it comes to your clients, instead of focusing on that one deal and one MRR, what you get out of it, think of it in the lifetime value, what we are able to get from that client if done in consultative approach. What can we get from them in 5 years, in 10 years if they stay with us? Last but not least, this is the ending part of my discussion, and my main point for the whole conversation here was actually very simple. Do the right thing by your clients, and your clients will do the right thing with you. And we are able to build sustainable tech business if we take the consultative approach. So that's all from my side. And if anyone has any questions, then please feel free to raise your hand and let me know.
So in the hybrid model, if you break sales down to CSMs, it's hunters versus farmers. Where do you sit?
It depends if I look short term or long term. Yes, it is the same concept, similarly. And as Artem said, it's very hard for us to prioritize what we're doing. Now, to give you like a real life example, beginning of October, I hit 100% of target sales-wise for the year. For this month specifically, today I'm at 97%. So I have no more, except for personal greed for money, I have no more reason to push the selling side of things. So that's why right now, more of my focus goes to the CSM side because I have the bandwidth to do it. Now, the reason is very simple. Leadership has expectations. Hitting the sales target is bloody important. If we don't hit it, we are in trouble. But the same way, in long term, we are in greater trouble, not my leadership, but the company as a whole, if I don't do the CSM side of things. So that's why day by day, I take different approaches, but I always start with the CSM side of things. And then, as Artem said, naturally, we go to the sales side of motion.
Good answer.
Any other questions?
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know afterwards.